That's right. In fact, I can tell you that we've heard from Interpol, who have confirmed that her flight will in fact be arriving here at 17:45. And in fact, that's just about, less than 40 minutes from now, where, of course, the former Free State Premier Ace Magashule's PA will land here at OR Tambo. Now, the state alleges that Cholota, as you've mentioned, was instrumental in the siphoning of over 255 million rand in that asbestos corruption case. I can tell you as we stand here that there is, of course, a heavy police presence, which is more than we've seen and quite more used to here at OR Tambo International Airport. There's also Hawks members that have been placed around the airport. We are expected, of course, to be seeing as Cholota lands. It's not known yet whether she'll be arriving in handcuffs or how this procedure will essentially take place. But what we do know, as South Africa, of course, being a member state of Interpol, worked quite vigorously to ensure that Cholota did return to the country to face those charges of fraud and corruption in that asbestos matter. You would also remember that that issue has been dragging on in the courts, and this is perhaps a very pivotal moment for the turnaround for this case, to finally be seeing some of those officials implicated now really starting to see the case moving, despite it being already in court. To have her extradition here means as well that the case is, of course, moving forward. What we do know and what we are expecting is that Interpol has had a very, firm hand in regards to bringing Cholota back home. We understood that she was arrested in April, and then she was expected already for the extradition in June. And today is that day where she'll be touching down here on South African soil, with law enforcement, of course, escorting her in. We know, of course, that once she arrives, Interpol will, of course, bring her into the country, and that will then be followed by the Hawks taking the matter over, and then we'll really have an understanding of the charges that she faces alongside Magashule and the 17 others that are accused in this matter. We are expected, of course, to get some word as well from Atlanta Mata, the National Police spokesperson, on what we can expect on the extradition and the handover that is taking place today. But really what I can tell you from just the sense on the ground, as we entered the police station here at OR Tambo, we saw many members of SAPS, many members of Hawks. You could see that there was also specialized teams, and I think also just some of the investigating teams that have been involved in this, really just manning the area. We have been told by the airport security that will also be taken specifically to where she lands. But I'm going to quickly grab the National Police spokesperson, who is also today wearing a very special hat as a spokesperson of Interpol. Just walk us through the extradition process of how we've gotten to this moment where Cholota is expected to arrive, as you've mentioned, at 17:45.
Well, a very good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity. As the SAPS's Interpol Extradition Unit, we have been working on this particular case for quite some time, since 2021. So in 2021, we received an extradition request from the NPA, which was accompanied by a warrant of arrest, which included the charges that this particular suspect is facing, which includes your fraud, theft, corruption, and money laundering. So as Interpol, we immediately published a red notice. A red notice is an international alert of a wanted fugitive or a wanted suspect, and it assists in simultaneously alerting authorities, Interpol member countries, of a wanted fugitive or a suspect in that particular country. So we have been working closely with prosecution authorities for a number of years, with the USA prosecution authorities for a number of years. I can confirm to you that on the 1st of August, we received what we call surrendering warrant, which is an order which is given that the fugitive can return to the country where they are wanted. We were given a time frame, 7 days, for her to be extradited. So the National Commissioner immediately dispatched a team from South Africa to ensure that they fetch this particular suspect. We can confirm that the team left earlier this week, and they are returning to South Africa with this particular suspect. suspect, where the official handing over will take place. We do have our lead investigator on this case who is present. He will receive the suspect, and then, like I've indicated, the formal handing over is going to take place, and we will hopefully see the suspect appear in court next week.
Yeah. Let's talk about that official handover. As Cholota is expected to arrive, we know that this has been the work of Interpol. From there, what then happens, as you've mentioned, in that handover process?
This has been a very, sensitive matter. We are approaching it with the sensitivity that it deserves. I think it's been a very long process. But we are quite encouraged that we have been able to extradite this particular suspect. But what will happen now is that the plane is expected to land just before 6 o'clock this evening. Our specialized units are already at the airport. They will fetch this particular suspect at the aircraft, escort her into South Africa. The Interpol members will then officially hand over the suspect to the investigating team. As I've indicated, the lead investigator of the Hawks is present. They will hand over the suspect, and then the formal processing will happen, and they will then whisk her off to where she will be kept until she is transported to Bloemfontein to appear before a magistrate.
Yeah. And I think this, of course, spells for Interpol, and I think as well for SAPS as a successful extradition. Are we expected to see more operations like this going forward as well?
Absolutely. In the past financial year alone, we've dealt with about 61 extradition, processes. We had 4 that we brought back into the country to be trialed into the country, and we had about 14 that these were fugitives that were hiding in South Africa that were handed over to other countries. So we are continuing with the great work. Our men and women in blue are on the ground, not only with Interpol issues, also with ensuring the safety and security of South Africans.
Thank you very much for your time, Linda. Well, there you have it, just a few moments, I think less than 40 minutes as Cholota is expected to arrive here at OR Tambo International Airport. Again, you would remember that this asbestos matter was not only an issue in terms of what had happened in terms of the fraud and corruption in the matter, but this was a matter in the Free State that harmed individuals, where the Free State government was essentially expected to remove this harmful materials in people's home, but essentially ended up being one of the biggest corruption cases in the country. Cholota, of course, was willing first to be a witness, but then later refused to work with authorities and then became an accused. And today, essentially, she's back in the country. As you heard, she will face her time in court on Monday. We are expecting, of course, to be present as we see her arriving in South Africa, and also really a big moment in terms of this case, but starting to see officials, government workers, politicians as well, facing the might of the law, and the SAPS as well pulling their weight and their might in making sure that not only is this fugitive brought back from the USA, but is facing, of course, the charges here back home. For now, of course, we'll be keeping an eye on the law enforcement officials and their movements here at OR Tambo. It's back to studio for now.